Today, I'm going to be looking at the 3 different types of retirees and help you figure out which type you might be. After almost 15 years of working with hundreds of retirees, I started noticing patterns, not just in their finances, but in how they experience retirement. And over time, 3 clear profiles kept showing up, each with their own unique strengths, weaknesses, and blind spots. If you're new to the channel, my name is Justin. I own a financial planning firm in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, where we work with clients from all across the country, helping them retire and helping them make smart financial decisions. And today I want to walk you through these 3 retirement types and help you figure out which one you are so you can design a retirement strategy that truly fits who you are and not just what the spreadsheets might say. So let's dig right into it. In my work as a financial planner, I've learned that people don't just retire with different bank balances. They retire with different personalities, habits, goals, and they all can be wildly different from each other. And understanding your type is one of the most powerful ways to avoid regret and increase satisfaction in retirement. So let's break down these 3 types. And here's why this matters. Because if you plan for the wrong type or assume that you're one type when you're actually another, you risk building a retirement that can feel kind of out of sync. That's where restlessness, boredom, depression, or even regret might creep in. And now, if you're already a little bit curious and you want to know exactly which retiree type best fits your personality and lifestyle, click the first link in the description, fill out a quick questionnaire. It's totally free. I'll send you back a personalized video with ways to optimize your retirement based on your personality and based on your results. So the first type of retiree profile is what we call the lifestyle preserver. And these are folks who want retirement to feel like an extension of their career, just with fewer meetings, I guess you could say. They often had high achieving careers. They take a lot of pride in structure, organization. They value consistently, very disciplined people. Their calendar might be a little bit lighter now, but they still want it to look organized. Maybe they still even color code it. And a few signs you might be a lifestyle preserver is if you had a structured, demanding job and you thrived on routine. You might find identity and a lot of confidence in your past work and in your social roles, and you're not really looking to reinvent yourself. You just kind of want to maintain the life that you've built. Some of your strengths might be a clear sense of identity, often very financially prepared, very responsible, and transition well into structured retirement roles like board memberships, part-time consulting, that kind of thing, where you can still preserve a little bit of the work that you did before. A few of the challenges, though, that lifestyle preservers face is they might struggle if they feel unproductive. They might have anxiety and stress that they're not doing enough, that they're doing too much sitting around, and they might avoid new experiences that don't necessarily match with their past identity. They might want to stay in that same groove or stick too closely to that same rigid structure that they had before, or they might risk feeling isolated if their work-based social network starts to fade away. And on the financial side, these types budget meticulously, very financially responsible, probably did a really good job saving. They like to avoid unnecessary financial risk, but they might need help letting go and understanding how to spend without guilt. So in my experience, this type tends to accumulate a lot of assets, but then hesitates to spend it and needs a lot of help just getting from that accumulation mindset to decumulation and feeling that it's okay to start withdrawing and spending the money that they built. The second type of retiree is what we call the freedom seeker. And freedom seekers are all about letting go. So these are the people who they look at retirement as their long-awaited permission slip to go do whatever the heck they want, whatever they want, whenever they want. And schedules, no, they've had enough of those. They're ready to just get away and go do something totally different than what they've been doing for the past 20, 30, or 40 years. Some signs you might be a freedom seeker. If you dream about road trips, extended travel, waking up without an alarm, no responsibilities, maybe you dislike commitments, you want each day to unfold just naturally, go with the flow, and you view retirement as a liberation from obligations. Freedom seekers' strengths are they're usually naturally adaptable and they're really open to new experiences. They always want to try something new or go somewhere that they've never been. They're really good at living in the moment and just enjoying the simple things in life. Some of the challenges they have, though, are they may lack some long-term structure or goals, leading to a sense of restlessness over time. And They also have a risk of isolation if they're not proactive about social connection. Financially, they may resist detailed planning, which can cause overspending, missed opportunities, procrastination. They usually want flexibility over rigid plans, which can be a little bit of a challenge, but a fun one, in my opinion, from a financial planning standpoint. They benefit from stuff like income guardrails, flexible spending buckets, different retirement phases. So a lot more dynamic type of retirement because there's things that they want to do in set phases that might cost a little bit more money at one point, and then they might have to adjust later. Whereas many traditional retirees might just have a more of a flat or just a slower moving spending curve. But freedom seekers tend to want to do things in distinct phases, so it's a little bit different. And the third type of retiree, the last but not least, is the purpose pursuer. And purpose pursuers, they don't just see retirement as the end of their working life, they see it as the beginning of their most meaningful chapter. They want to contribute, build something, make a difference. For them, fulfillment comes from impact, not just leisure or sitting around. So signs that you might be a purpose pursuer is if you feel driven to give back or pursue a legacy. You might find joy in mentoring, volunteering, starting projects, or most common I find is launching a business. That's a big one. You're energized by growth, learning, building, helping others. Your strengths might be being deeply fulfilled by meaningful activity. Usually purpose pursuers create strong social and community ties, and they tend to stay just mentally sharp and resilient longer from just having that drive of building with purpose. The challenges, though, are the risk of burnout or overcommitment. They might tend to take on too many things at once and put too much on their plate right out the gate, right immediately after retirement, and then have to take a step back and reevaluate. They might neglect rest or leisure time, and they can struggle with balancing like doing good versus feeling good. Financially, they're really willing to invest in causes and ideas, but they might need help pacing their spending and avoiding maybe tunnel vision on building a legacy or some big broad dream over lifestyle. Now, when I look at these three retirement types, I've started to notice that there's a lot of differences in these personalities versus what conventional retirement planning might say, or what you might see in some studies or retirement statistics. And what I found, it kind of explains why some retirees get off to a really great start and they have a great retirement, are super happy. Then others might struggle for a really long time, even if they have a lot of wealth. And I found that you could call it a secret to retirement satisfaction, but it's not really about the amount of money that you have. It's about the alignment. Is your retirement aligned with your personality? Is it aligned with what really drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? Those types of values and those motivations should still be there in retirement. I've talked before about how important it is to have not something to just retire from or get away from, which some of maybe those freedom seekers have. They really want to get away from something, but it's good to have something to retire towards. And I'd say it's almost critical to have something to retire towards, or else you might risk having those feelings of oh, what now? What do I do now? I'm bored, or maybe feeling that life doesn't have a purpose and getting into negative emotions. And that's what we want to avoid. And so now that you understand a little bit about these three retirement types, and maybe you're already figuring out, or maybe you know exactly which type you already are. Maybe I already mentioned it and you said, oh, that's me. Now we can explore exactly how to design a strategy that works with your natural tendencies rather than going against them. For the lifestyle preserver, I found it's critical to have a structured weekly framework. So at least keeping some of that structure from when you were working, at least the part that you enjoyed, not all the emails and the meetings and stuff like that, but at least keeping some semblance of that structure. And for a lot of people in this category, they still kind of do it anyway. But another way is repurposing, or at least keeping some of that professional identity. For example, I had one client in particular who was in law enforcement, and then once he retired, he transitioned into doing investigative work, doing consulting part-time, because he really enjoyed what he did. So this way he still got to keep that professional identity. It didn't have to totally disappear, and he could still do work that he enjoyed, but on his time frame. And in the financial category, I found that having a values-based spending plan or even an intentional spending plan for lifestyle preservers works really well, or else they might just let their assets just continue to build and never actually end up enjoying any of it, because they're so used to having that structure, they're so used to saving, and it can be a challenge to get into spending. So we help create those deliberate, intentional spending plans and show that, hey, it's okay to spend, let's deliberately spend this much, this much, this much to add value to your life. And since it's part of the plan, it fits in with that natural structure that they're used to. Strategies for freedom seekers are having a looser framework, because they're going to want to, have a lot more leeway. I've found like what we call bucket-based planning works really well, like having a travel budget or a fund budget and having that align with intentional spending in that way works really well for them. Or you could call it adventure planning. For example, they may have some things that they want to do in year 1, then something else in year 5, something else in year 7, and then intentionally segregate money and invest it for that purpose. But a big thing with freedom seekers is preventing what we call drift, because they'll start to naturally maybe not pay as much attention on the financial side, and they'll need a little bit more reminders to check in and say, hey, what's going on with your plan? Let's make sure we're doing everything correctly. So not saying that they're careless, but they might just need a little bit more reminders. So if that's you, it helps to set some scheduled points throughout the year where you say, hey, I'm going to check in. I'm going to make sure I'm looking at my finances, make sure I'm not overspending, make sure I'm not having too much fun at the expense of financial responsibility. And lastly, for the purpose pursuer, some strategies are having what we might call mission clarity. So getting real specific about what they want to accomplish, because there might be 3 or 4 different things. They might want to do this business, or they might want to get into that, and they're not sure exactly which one that they want to do. So trying to narrow it down and get some clarity on what's going to be the most productive, what really means a lot to them, what are they really going to value, what's really going to bring that fulfillment. And then we want to create that, though, without recreating job stress. So, maybe capping hours, saying I'm going to work on this for 3 or 4 days a week, and then I'm going to spend the rest of the time with my family. I found without those guardrails, I guess you could say, purpose pursuers will just create a second job for themselves. And on the financial side, we might do what we call legacy-based giving or purpose-based giving. I found purpose pursuers are usually very charitable inclined. They like to give, they like to help people. So having some set strategies for giving money from their accounts, and also doing it in a tax efficient manner as well, we've found that's helped a lot, and helped also align their plan with their values too. And now hopefully some of those strategies are helpful. Maybe you know that you're exactly one of those types. Maybe you're what we call a hybrid. You might be a mix. So a lot of people aren't just 100% one type. You might be 70% lifestyle pursuer with a little bit of freedom seeker mixed in there on the weekends. You might be a purpose pursuer, but who's finally ready to relax. That's all normal. These are just broad categories. But the point is that your plan should reflect that blend as well. And the whole point is that when your retirement lifestyle aligns with your personality and values, it feels natural, exciting, meaningful. When it doesn't, then there's no amount of money that's going to make it feel right. There's always going to be that nagging sense of dissatisfaction. And we don't want you to have that. We want you to enjoy your retirement. We want you to be happy and fulfilled. That's what it's all about. So now that you've seen the 3 types of retirees and you know how they each approach retirement differently, you understand why retirement satisfaction involves much more than just financial planning, just looking at numbers and data, which I've left out of this video on purpose. By recognizing your dominant retirement type, whether you're a lifestyle preserver, freedom seeker, a purpose pursuer, aligning your retirement strategy with your natural tendencies, you can create a retirement that feels authentic and makes you live your best life. And that's what it's all about. So if you'd like to discover your own retirement personality type and receive some customized strategies for your retirement plan, just click the first link in the description, fill out the short quiz that I put together. It's totally free. Afterwards, I will send you a personalized video with tips on how to optimize your retirement based on your exact numbers. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one.